It was 8 o'clock at night. The old government school stood silent, its walls creaking softly with the cold night breeze. Nasir stood at the gate. It was his first night on duty there. He was just an ordinary watchman, but in a city where jobs were scarce, he couldn't refuse. Before leaving, the headmaster gave him a few strange instructions that kept echoing in his mind. Never open the door of Class 4. If the lights start flickering, don't make a sound. And if you hear a child's laughter, sit down on the floor immediately. Nasir chuckled and said, "Sir, I'm not the kind who gets scared." The headmaster paused at the door and replied quietly, "That's exactly what the last watchman said." Nasir locked the main gate. The road outside was lost in fog. In the courtyard stood a huge peepal tree, its branches swaying and whispering in the wind. He swept his flashlight across the cracked walls, peeling paint, faint handprints of children and strange scratches on the plaster, as if someone had carved them with fingernails. Inside the staff room, an old lantern, a broken chair, and dusty files lay scattered on the table. He lit the lantern. The ceiling fan began to spin slowly, humming like a restless spirit. Through the window, he caught sight of a shadow moving across the opposite room. Startled, he called out, "Who's there?" No answer, only the whispering wind. He grabbed his torch and walked toward the classrooms. As he approached room number 4, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, complete darkness. A wooden plaque hung crookedly on the wall. Class 4, always work hard, children. He froze for a moment, then turned back toward the staff room. The night deepened. Rain began to fall. The radio crackled with static. He poured himself some tea from his thermos. Just as he lifted the cup to his lips, a voice behind him whispered, "Sir, give me some too." Nasir spun around. No one there. The chair was empty. But on the wall, a faint shadow, small and still, like a child standing quietly. He switched off the radio. Minutes later, the lights began to flicker. The entire school blinked in and out of darkness. The warning echoed in his head. If the lights flicker, don't make a sound. He stood motionless. Then, a breath, warm and close to his ear. A child's voice murmured, "We're still here, sir," taking attendance. Trying to steady his shaking hands, Nasir hurried to the record room. He flipped through the old files. One report caught his eye. 1989. Fire accident in Class 4. 8 children died. Cause unknown. Beneath the report, in faint pencil writing, someone had added, "Sir said the class will never end." At that moment, he heard footsteps outside the door. "Who's there?" he called out. Silence. Then again, the sound of small feet running down the corridor. He stepped into the hallway. It was flooded with darkness. Rainwater trickled along the floor. At the far end, the door to Class 4 slowly swung open. He hesitated, but faint laughter echoed from inside. Children's laughter. Nasir raised his torch and shone it through the doorway. On the desks were names written in chalk. Each desk had one word beside the name, "Present." But the last desk was empty. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him. He shouted, dropped his torch. Then a whisper came from right behind his neck. "You're the 8th one now, sir." He ran to the door, pulled at the handle, locked. The light went out completely. 8 small hands brushed against him in the darkness. When the police arrived the next morning, the school gate was wide open. There was no sign of Nasir anywhere. But in Class 4, 8 desks bore 8 names. The last one read, "Nasir, present." On the staff room wall, written freshly in pencil, were the words, "Tomorrow a new class begins, sir." As the headmaster stepped inside, the old radio turned on by itself. From its crackling speaker came the sound of children's voices. "Sir, you're late again."